Hello, everybody. This is DJ Ricks, and this is the Don't Take Us Too Seriously podcast. I'm your host, DJ Ricks, and with me, I've got O.
What's good,
Today,
baby?
today we're gonna talk about the week 6. We're starting mid-season. We're a little late to the party, but we're just gonna kind of jump this thing right off. We're gonna start off today with the tiers of quarterbacks. Don't argue with me. Argue with your mama. These aren't going to be for the week. Everybody's not going to agree with this, but you know what? We going to have our takes. Y'all argue in the comments about it. You go ahead, like, subscribe, share it to somebody. Y'all argue together. Don't argue with us. But in the tiers, I'm gonna kick this one off over to you, O, and who you got in your first tier?
First tier. It's only two men up there. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Undeniably.
I couldn't agree more. It's real hard to argue against them because hey, they're the face of the league now. You know, they're the new dogs
Agreed.
with keys. So
They're in a league of their own, regardless of what weapons and how the opposing teams.
So you saying that you don't think that Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, none of these other hot new guys, they're not in that top tier? They're not tier one?
Nah, I'm gonna have to disagree
Even though Joe Burrow
strongly.
was
I think nah. I don't think Joe Burrow. I definitely don't think Joe Burrow falls into that category. I think Justin Herbert is one of those guys that's on the cusp of being there. I think Lamar Jackson is the best athlete in the NFL, openly. But as far as number one tier of quarterbacks, I feel like he also sits right outside that top tier. I think Lamar is. I think he's in the middle pack of the second tier, and he is taking significant strides to honestly overgain most of the people in that second tier in his tremendous progress in his throwing motions and overall, you know, posture and poise as a quarterback, as a natural passer. But I don't think he's there just yet. I think that second tier still consists of Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. I don't know if I think Joe Burrow stands toe to toe with those guys. He's a great competitor, but as far as that second tier of quarterbacks, I don't know if he sits there either.
Well, what I will say though, a name that you forgot about is the current either runner up in the candidates right now, or maybe the lead runner, depending on who you ask. Jalen Hurts. Where does he fall in your list for all this? Because if you had to ask me, I'd have to say Jalen Hurts, he got to be at least in tier 2 right now. It's hard to deny it.
It's hard to deny it realistically, but to me, Jalen Hurts as a thrower is not he's tier 3 at best as a thrower. He's a great competitor, spectacular athlete. But as far as overall quarterback play, he probably sits tier 3. Because you can make the argument that Jalen Hurts has some of the best weapons in the league.
And I was just going to say, they used to say Brady was a system quarterback back in New England. And, you put the right weapons around him, you get the right offense, a good enough defense, you can make anybody look great. I'm not saying that's what Jalen Hurts is, but hey, that might catapult him. But you know what? From there, we're going to jump into our next point. We didn't get a chance to really talk about Trevor Lawrence too much because he's one of those up and comers, so he's not in that those top 2 tiers yet. But what are you thinking about Trevor Lawrence so far this year?
I'm gonna have to counter because I think you are strongly going to disagree with me. What do you think about Trevor Lawrence this year?
That's fair enough. I would have to say I think Trevor Lawrence has the talent and potential to be a top 5 quarterback. Not this year, maybe not even next year. But I could see Trevor Lawrence just in terms of his throwing motion. The fact that, we saw what he can overcome because he overcame Urban Meyer. You can't overcome much more than that.
Yeah.
He was kicking kickers for Christ's sake.
Yeah, for sure. That's mud baby shit right there. Honestly, that's big mud baby shit.
That's already a leap in it. That's a leap in itself that he had to overcome that. And his completion percentage right now, on average, is upper 60s right now. So, it's 65%. but he is also he's on pace for 4,000 yards, and he's averaging about 7 yards per attempt, which is pretty good for a second year quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're kind of overlooking them a little bit and giving them the underdog because it's in a low market. It's Jacksonville. It's nobody. They don't get very many televised games. They're about to go to London here in a couple weeks, so everybody's gonna get a chance to see how good he really is. But with that defense looking solid, and if he can string together a couple good games, you never know. He might leapfrog one of these guys and jump right into that tier 2 conversation here by the end of the year. What's your thoughts?
So I agree that he has the talent. I don't think he's that far off from being a potential tier 2 guy, but at the same time, Trevor Lawrence's decision making has it needs some work. Like in the past, let's see, we're in week 6 right now, and Trevor Lawrence has 3 interceptions, 9 touchdowns. It leaves a bit to be desired when you have 9 touchdowns, 3 picks, and 9 sacks.
That does. That does. I
And
mean,
against high quality defenses, the stats just don't line up
I
in his
guess
favor.
I guess the thing that I would say to that is that when you haven't really had a chance to really learn how to read defenses and stuff through Urban Meyer since we've seen what he did at Ohio State with every quarterback that's came out with him through Florida. So he's not teaching these quarterbacks to be NFL quarterbacks. So he's already got that step against him. So I kind of feel like this is like rookie year and a half for Trevor Lawrence, just because he finally gets to get literally coached and actually learn a real playbook and learn how to get through progressions and go to his check down, that internal clock. It's going to take a little bit of time. So I don't think he's going to be necessarily a quick study, but I think there's a reason why he was considered the best overall prospect when he came out the draft.
I agree. I don't think so. For I don't disagree because the talent is there. I won't argue Trevor's talent or poise or just the overall mechanics of him as a quarterback. I just think that as of now, do I think that Trevor stacks up to the rest? No. I think he has the potential to, and I think Doug Peterson is the guy to draw it out of him.
That's fair.
But do I think that he's currently, because you it seems like you were making the case that Trevor Lawrence is fringe second tier or solidified somewhere in the bottom of that second tier. But I think as of right now, for me, he's still, regardless of the stats and progression, I don't think he's made enough progress for me to boost him just yet.
I think at this point, when it really comes down to, he might just be more. It might be more projection right now than it is the reality. Because the projection right now of him is, to me, I think he can be a top 5 quarterback. I think he can be a QB that tier 1. He's not that now, but with that talent, with a strong enough offense, and you got a bunch of young guys, and you never know what can happen. But the reality is, right now, he's got to prove it, and he's got to take those right steps to get there.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I'll agree. Now, on the other hand, what you think about that boy Russ?
So when it comes to Russell Wilson, we all saw it. I'm not gonna act like we didn't see this, you guys. We saw what he did on the Monday night, on the Thursday night. He's not very good. We can no longer let Russ cook. Like, lock up his utensils. He ain't allowed to have a knife in his hands. He's a threat to everyone around him.
I think Russ gonna be shopping on Indeed for a new job in the next 2 years. Everybody keep telling me they paid him all that money. Yeah, that's cool, but with stats like these, money don't seem to be money don't seem to matter.
Yeah, they
Motherfucker,
may.
3 sacks or more in every game this year.
Yeah,
Every single interception so far thrown this year has been inside the red zone,
yeah,
and
and
he
that
only
got
has 5 touchdowns to show.
And I got some more for you here. Some more for the hard hitters. We got less than 60% completion rate. He's on pace for 14 touchdowns, 9 picks. His completion percentage has dropped since 2020 every year. And he's the second highest paid quarterback at $49 million. That ain't gonna cut it. That is not gonna cut it at all. The Walton family is gonna come back and be like, "Hey, no. I'm gonna need that money back because what you're doing right now is
On
not what we
me.
paid for."
Hey, on me. Hey, somebody pop the trunk, bro. Cuz got to come up off this bread, please. Because ain't no way.
But you know what? It's only been the 5 games so far. So, or it's actually been 6. Well, maybe you got another 2-3 weeks in them before they really gonna start. They gonna start letting them heads roll up there in Denver.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can justify it, especially with these injuries starting to pile up on Russ specifically and the Broncos, and losing Javonte Williams. Defense is, currently up and down right now. And statistically speaking, defense is playing top 10 football right now, keeping every opponent under 21 point, almost under 21 points every week. It's just.
But I mean, it don't matter if your defense playing top 10 when your quarterback playing bottom 5. So
that's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact.
But what is there to be said? Does any of this have to go to Nathaniel Hackett? Is it his fault or is it all Russ?
That's a great question, because honestly, in that, what was it, week 3? In the week 3 game was it week 2 when Nathaniel Hackett made the decision to kick the field goal instead of going for it with the quarterback that you decided to pay $275 million for 3 years?
Yeah, that was against San Fran. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in week 1 when you're going up against Houston and you decide not to go for it, and it's like, oh, so you just gonna leave this up to chance? You don't really believe in this quarterback you just paid all this money to, so it's hard to say.
Especially with the weapons available.
Yeah, because when you got a dog in Cortland Sutton out there on the outside, you got a route running machine in Jerry Jeudy on the inside, and then you got a man that can fly on the outside in KJ Hamler. You don't really get too many excuses for, not seeing over the line when you got weapons galore and you got a decent offensive line. So
and then on top of that, you got that man toting that beam. Granted, torn MCL, torn LCL now, and for no lack of fumbles so far this season between him and Melvin Gordon. But still,
Melvin like to get
it's still leave. He got butter hands for sure. Not butterfingers, butter hands. He must be lathering them arms up with pig fat before the game.
That's how he
fumbled. Ain't no way.
San Diego,
That's a fact. That's a fact. Never seen a motherfucker put up top 15 back stats and fumble his way out of a contract.
Right.
That
multiple
crazy.
Times. Got more franchise tags than anybody. But anyway, now that we done talked about Russ, let's talk about the guy that ended up being his replacement, Geno. Are you on the Geno train?
Yeah, I'm on the Geno train. For sure. Okay. I think this year is showing that some quarterbacks are honestly, like, some quarterbacks we just cut too short of a stick. Because Geno had a lot of people, myself included, wrote Geno off. A lot of people had Geno sold off. And in 2 seasons, right now, Geno got top 10 stats.
He does.
He went from replacing Russ last year, and to be fair, Geno came to play on the latter half of last year, replacing Russ.
He did.
It took time for him to grow into the starting role, but honestly, I think Seattle's head coach saw something that we didn't see, and it's paying off right now. And it's paying off.
Just to keep it a buck right now, Geno on pace for 4,000 yards, 70 plus percentage completion rate this year, 8 yards per attempt, touchdown to interception rate 4-1. But he's lost 3 of his last 5. So does he have the it factor, or is his team just betraying him right now?
Honestly, I think it's the team. I don't think Gino is the problem. When that same offensive line, which is I won't say the reason behind Russ's consistent decline, because Russ is not good at picking up the blitz, never has been. He doesn't recognize, late blitzers and changes in coverage too much too aggressively. That's a known fact. We've seen it from Russ year after year. But to be fair, Seattle still hasn't done anything to rectify the situation. And look at the numbers Geno's put up weeks 1 through 4. He started off slow week 1 against San Fran, 24-30, 197, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Picked it up the following week, 32-44, 325, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick against ATL. Put 48 on Detroit, 23-30 for 320, 2 touchdowns, no picks. QBR 91, quarterback rating of 132. In New Orleans, came out with an L, 16-25 for 268, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. But in each of these games so far, with the exception of Detroit, which Detroit don't play no defense to begin with, he's been sacked at least twice, 3 times in New Orleans, and 5 times last week in Arizona, and still pulled the win out.
But I am gonna say though, I'm seeing a trend here. More of these L's are coming against better defenses than they are against, lesser defense or better offenses.
Agreed, but you know what comes with better defenses? More sacks, more quarterback pressures.
It does. It does.
Especially when, you got your rookie running back starting in week 4 against New Orleans, and he's had a total of 10 carries leading up to that game.
True. That's fair enough. I will say though, to your point, 4 out of the 5 games have been decided by 1 score. So he's doing his part in order to keep him in the game. Maybe the team is failing him a little bit just because everybody thought they were in a rebuild. Pete Carroll obviously didn't, but hey, maybe he knew something a little bit more than we did. But he's got an all-time record of 19-29. But hey, like you said, they gave him the short end of the stick at the Jets, and they didn't believe in him when he went to the Chargers and when he bounced around to the Giants. So hey, now it's a fresh slate for him, and let's see if he can recapture this. And maybe, who knows, maybe he'll be the next Kurt Warner for us. But in the same division, Kyler Murray. We just
Wait,
saw
you
the.
sure you want my opinion on this one?
Hey, all I know is we just saw the two Titans, go head to head against each other,
Titans,
and with the vicious 19-9. Who would have thought?
Bro, 2 of the worst defenses in the league gave up the least points of anybody in the league this week. That's magnificent. That's crazy.
Yeah,
and
and it's funny too because when when the team that actually does win and they only win by 10, but they're only paying that quarterback a little bit, and the team that lost, they paying that man a whopping $230 million.
I can't even.
And we didn't even mention
Man,
him in
listen,
our top 2 tiers. So what you got on Kyler?
Kyler might not even be in the 3rd tier, bro. Honestly, like the talent is there. The talent is there, but he just a more athletic Russell Wilson. He is like, granted, was Russ a top 5 quarterback at some point in his career? Yes,
Sure.
But Kyler, I'm willing to make the argument. No,
he'll never get there either.
Statistically, could you argue that Kyler was a top 5 quarterback at some point? Yeah, maybe.
At points in the season.
Yeah, but dog, Kyler without DeAndre Hopkins is an entirely different human being than. Damn, I think big man down there somewhere, cuz.
No, I
seen
get
it
you.
last year. We saw it last year in the later half of the season, especially when at the point where they were last year, where their whole receiving core was healthy. They went and traded and got Zach Ertz, and Zach Ertz had a baller ass season.
He's a guy.
Last year, after the trade, James Conner scored the most touchdowns in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Great 2-way back. last season. Not saying overall, but last season, great two-way back. And for Kyler to still show up so short, that was pathetic.
Well, let's give him a little bit of credit here, though, because he's on pace for the most passing yards in a single season of his career. He's on pace also for the most yards, rushing in a season. So it's not like he's not doing anything while he's out there with no one else out there. Maybe his team or Cliff Kingsbury, maybe they just don't got a fire under him right now. And he's on pace for actually the least amount of fumbles, even though you're asking him to do more
So
with less.
so here's my question though. When you said the most passing yards in his career, motherfucker ain't threw over 4,000 yards yet.
You're right. Well, no, he
So
did. No,
he hasn't.
No, he hasn't. No. I guess I can't. I can't
Not
do all
not a single time.
that.
Like I'm not impressed.
Yeah, no, I get
I'm
it.
not. And so far through his career, he's almost been 1-2 touchdown to interception ratio in every season. And right now, he's lower than that. It's 6-4.
Yeah, that is true. He definitely has been showing that he's been struggling. His offensive line looks worse than ever. His defense looks terrible right now. And he had, like he said, he hasn't had Hopkins. And for the cherry on top, he just lost Marquise Brown. So
But
yeah, we gonna see.
you
We gonna
know,
see.
they
Maybe
went and traded,
first rounder for
no,
top
well,
capital.
fuck the first rounder. They just gave up, a toenail to get Robbie Anderson.
That is true. I mean, like you just mentioned, yeah, they gave up a 6th and a 7th round pick for the man to bring him back over from the Panthers. But maybe he could be the savior for the 6th and 7th round. Trying to play for a contract in the future, or maybe just playing for a roster spot in the future right now. And maybe D Hop could be that. He could be that miracle worker for him because they gonna need it.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, that's enough on Kyler Murray. We didn't kind of poured it laid it on a little bit thick on him. Let's talk about an alumni of his and Baker Mayfield. Now, you think in Baker Mayfield, you think he get another shot at a starting gig elsewhere? You think he's gonna make it work in Carolina? You think he's gonna be a backup, or do you think at this point, he can go ahead and just hang him up because he's
He might as well go
young.
ahead, pack his shit up and get up out of there.
Insert Homer
I
Simpson
think,
meme here.
yeah, I think Baker gonna be in the unemployment line next to his boy Russ. I think them boys gonna be on Indeed looking for new gigs if no don't nobody offer them no ads or nothing. It's sad days ahead. I don't think Baker's attitude will allow for Baker to rise back to another occasion. I don't think Baker is humble enough to sit behind anybody. I don't think his attitude will allow. Now, do I think Carolina has any better options on their roster? No. I think they're all about equivalent. But I don't think Baker gives them anything, leaves them anything to be desired. With a week 4 QBR of 7.4, 22 of 36 for 197, one touchdown, two picks. A week 3 QBR of 8.3, 12 completions on 25 attempts, 170 yards, one touchdown. And on top of that, Baker gives up almost 3 sacks a week.
Well, I'm gonna just leave it at this. There's enough stats for days that we can just pour it on and just keep pouring it on Baker because he's not a franchise quarterback. He's not a starting quarterback. The only thing that I will say is that history has proven that number one picks they get too many shots in the league. So I think he will be a start. He'll get a chance to be a starter somewhere, or at least he'll be a backup somewhere, just on sheer talent and draft cachet alone. But I ain't
What
going.
talent?
Hey, like I said, I don't have any evidence or
What talent?
stats to base
And
this
for
off
and
of.
for anybody that want to blame it on the bum ass head coach, Baker was just as bad last year in Cleveland.
Hey, all I'm going to say is Baker had one good year out of it all. So, but I'll never advocate that it was him. I'll say it was the team, but he got to benefit from it. So, enjoy the money while you got it, Baker. I think you'll be a proper backup, and hopefully you'll never have to be a starter again in the league. I think that's something we can both agree on to close this out. Now, this has been another episode of Don't Take Us Too Seriously podcast. I've been your host, DJ Ricks. I've had my co-host here, with me as well, and we out of here.